Today on Fit Tip Tuesday, I'm going to show you how to make a non-stretch pants fitting waistband. This is a brand new waistband that I featured in the Master Pants Fitting class that I shot for Threads magazine this summer. This class launched on October 5th, and it's really a lot of fun in there. I'm having fun interacting with my students, and actually there's 2 more lives Q&A sessions left, and one of them is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then the following one is next Tuesday at 7 p.m. So if you're part of the class, you can come to a live Q&A session to ask questions and get answers in real time, which is kind of cool. There's also a community page where you can post pictures and ask questions. One of the questions I got both in the Zoom Q&A session and also in the forum was more specific instructions on how to make this non-stretch waistband. I explained how to make it in class, and I've decided I'm going to do a step-by-step to make it really easy to put this together. The reason why I decided to come up with this second version of a pants fitting waistband is in my experience teaching students both live in person and on Zoom is that some of them have trouble securing and fitting the non-stretch waistband that closes with a velcro closure. Now the velcro closure is 3 inches long, but the trick is you have to get that waistband to fit you securely with a 3-inch overlap. And then what if you gain or lose a little bit of weight? It's been my experience that some students just have a really hard time getting that securely fitted onto them. And that's the first important step in successful pants fitting, to create a secure anchor around your waist or midriff or high hip, wherever you want to wear your waistband, so that you can drape your single leg muslin from it and fit your muslin. If you don't have a secure anchor, then it's very hard to keep track of what you're doing, and you could be fitting along and then the waistband slips around and it's a mess again. So having that secure anchor is really important. So I am going to show you how to make this new version today. If you're interested in the original non-stretch waistband, which has a Velcro closure and Velcro around the bottom 1/2 inch and center back to use in conjunction with putting the soft Velcro inside your pants muslin to help manage your fabric, please check the description below for that. I'm putting the video tutorial showing how to make those in the description. I'll also be including a kit for this new waistband in case you don't have the supplies that you need. So you can find that in the description below as well. So this is really very simple. What you're going to need is a strip of heavy double knit or ponte knit fabric, and you want to cut it along the stretchy direction so you have a stretchy strip like this. You're also going to need some band roll. Now I'm going to be using 1-inch band roll because I'm going to be making an 1.25 inch waistband. I'm pointing that out because I want to remind everybody that you can make your fitting waistband any width that's comfortable for you. Depending on your shape, wider waistbands might not sit well on your body, and having a narrow waistband sometimes is easier to get it to sit nice and secure where you want it to sit. The other cool thing about this version of the waistband is it can work as a straight or a contoured waistband because you're going to snug it onto you. Now I want to answer a question that I got. It's kind of an interesting question because I've been using the fitting waistband to fit my own pants, but then when I go to finish my final version of my pants, I cut out my waistband pieces from the pattern piece for the waistband, and I use that as the waistband for my pants. And people have been asking me, if you're using a fitting waistband, how does that translate as the waistband for your final pants? What I have discovered is if you take the time to really make sure that the waistline of your pants, the part that you're actually pinning, measuring or attaching to your fit waistband, if that fits you securely and there's not too much ease there, then you can really attach any waistband to that waistline edge that you'd like. So if you're working with a certain pants pattern, and you've got your pants fitting muslin, use the pants fitting muslin to fit your pants at the level you want. Then make sure that the waistline is securely on your body, meaning you don't have too much ease. The cool thing is, once you fit, the waistline is sitting where you want it, and you can add any waistband that you'd like. So let's get started to make this waistband. And what I want to show you here is I've cut my strip. I've got my band roll. The first step is I'm going to cut this strip of ponte knit down to the length that I need. Now, how am I going to figure out that? I'm going to use my ditto form here so I don't have to wrangle it onto myself in this video. Take the strip of fabric, and you're not going to wrap it around your waist. You're going to wrap it around your fullest hip. So I'm going to wrap it around my fullest hip here, and I'm going to pull it until it's pretty secure. And then I'm going to pin it. So I'm just going to throw a couple pins in the strip to hold it. And really two pins should be enough. Now I haven't folded it in half in its final position yet. What I'm trying to do here is decide if I can pull this strip on and off my body, right? So if I can pull it off, I'm just going to pull it down past the full hip, and then I'm going to pull it back on. All right, I can see that I can very easily do that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to pop it up to my waist. Okay, and you can see when I do that, notice when I pop it onto my waist, it is a little bit looser, but I don't have a ton of extra ease gapping around. Now, depending on your shape, you might have more or less ease, and that depends on how much larger your full hip measurement is from your waist. But the important thing is we want to pick our length of our strip based on our fullest hip. So you can pin it together with a safety pin, slide it up onto you, and then if you can make it tighter, reposition your safety pin, make it a little shorter, and then try it again. And do that until you're confident that you've gotten the shortest length here as possible, because when it comes up to your waist at a smaller measurement, you want the least amount of extra as possible. So that's why we're using a stretchy fabric that we can pull on, because it needs to come up over your full hip. But again, we want it to be as snug coming up as we can without making it difficult to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and use this as my final answer. I'm going to move her out of the way for now. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut my strip where I measured, and I'm just going to trim off my salvage edge over here just to make it neat. All right, so now the first step is we are going to sew our strip into a circle, and I'll put right sides together. And I'm going to do the whole thing on the serger. Now you can do it on the sewing machine just as easily. And actually, after I get it together, I am going to switch to the sewing machine. But for these first steps, I am going to use my serger. So I'm going to serge the ends of my strips together. I'm not going to cut anything off because remember, I've already measured it to the length I need. Okay, so you can see here, I have my ends sewn, and just to keep it neat and tidy, I'm just going to cut my tail here. I'm going to fold it in half. At this point, if you want to try it on to be sure, you can try it on again just to be double sure. And if it's still a little bit loose, you can sew it in a little bit deeper. Okay, so let's pretend I checked it and everything is fine. The next step is I'm just going to use a few clips to clip both the raw edges together. And this is not fancy. We're not turning it inside out. We're just creating a casing for the band roll. The band roll is what is going to make it a non-stretch waistband. So I'm going to show you how this whole thing works in 1 second. Let me just put a few clips in. Now I'm using clips on my serger because there's no way I can sew over a clip and damage the blade on my serger. So that's why I'm a fan of using clips. And I have some magic clips here. I have some wonder clips here. I love them on the serger. Now I am just going to start somewhere. It doesn't really matter where. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my fabric underneath my presser foot. I'm going to floss it back and forth to kind of loosen up the tension on my needle threads a little bit, and then I'm going to put my presser foot down. The knife is just going to skim along the edge, and I'm literally going to just stitch around, not trimming anything off. I'm going to show you how to start and stop in the round nice and neatly so you don't end up just veering off the edge. It just makes it look a little nicer. I'm going to serge until I cut my tail off right here. Then I'm going to put my knife down because I'm going to overlap my start point about 1/2 inch, and I don't want to cut the looper threads in front of the knife here. So I'm just going to put my knife down, and I'm literally going to keep serging until I've overlapped a little bit. Okay, once I've overlapped a little bit, I'm going to rotate my hand wheel to pick up my needles. I'm going to pick up my presser foot. Then I'm going to wiggle everything gently out from underneath the presser foot and the needles. Once I've done that, I'm going to put my presser foot back down and I'm going to chain off. Now you can see that makes a nice finish. You can't even really see where I stopped and started. See how nice that is? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my serger for the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how to finish up this waistband. Let's take a close look at my waistband. Okay, you can see this is what it looks like. It's basically just a tube of Ponte knit that I have finished the bottom edge with the serger. Again, if you don't have a serger, you can just sew that on your sewing machine. I would stitch it and then use a triple zigzag to just keep the seam allowances from flopping around. So I've done that. The other two things we're going to need to finish this waistband is band roll and also a few pieces of velcro. And I have my few pieces of velcro here. Here's my band roll. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make the center back seam, okay, is going to be the center back of our waistband. So I'm going to fold it in half like this just to give me a guide for my center front. And for now, I'm just going to put a pin there to mark that. So this is going to be my center front. My center back is here. I'm going to put my center front and back together. Okay, and that's going to give me the approximate location of my side seams, right? I mean, your back might be a little smaller than your front. So if you want to slip this on and mark the approximate positions of your side seams or where they would be, you can do that. But I'm just going to go ahead and use these positions here and here as my approximate side seams. It doesn't need to be exact. The idea for this is we're going to create a slit or a hole in the knit to insert the band roll. That's how we're going to make it non-stretch, and I'm going to show you how this is going to work. The other thing I'm going to use is some sort of bodkin, like a wooden bodkin or something, because you're going to need it to snake the band roll through the tube here. I'm going to start by simply cutting a slit. Now I don't want to cut the slit through both layers, right? So I'm going to pinch it out like this, and I'm going to create a little hole. And then I'm going to make the slit almost the entire length of the outside of the waistband, so it looks like this. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing over here where my other pin was at my side seam position. So again, I'm just going to create a little slit, and then I'm going to cut that open. Now here's what makes it non-stretch. Right now we have a stretchy waistband. I tried every version of putting elastic in a casing. Elastic in a casing does not make it firm enough to be a secure anchor to drape your pants muslin from. So this is how we're going to strengthen this right up. I'm going to take out the center front pin for now, because what I'm going to do is I am going to cut myself one piece that's maybe 6 inches longer than my full hip measurement, and that will be a safe amount to make sure we don't lose it in the hole that we created. Now here's the thing about the band roll. It needs to be long enough so when you pull the knit strip over your fullest hip, you don't lose the ends of your band roll. So I know my full hip measures 45 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself, let's say 51 inches of band roll here. So the kit will come with 2 yards of band roll, so you'll have plenty of band roll to create your non-stretch part of your stretched waistband. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it in my bodkin that I have. Oops. I'm just going to crunch it up and stick it in there like this. And I'm just going to snake it through my waistband like this. And when I get to the opposite hole, I think I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to stick it out that hole. I'm just going to keep going all the way around. Like this. All right, so when I've made it all the way around, I'm going to pull out my bodkin. Like this. All right, and you can see what we have here is I'm just going to make this, so my ends are equal. So I'm going to just hold those together and I'm just going to pull it like this to equal out or evenly distribute this piece of band roll around the casing I made from this Ponte knit. So literally what I'm going to do is you want it to be completely unstretched. Okay, and I'm going to just make these relatively equal because remember, one side is going to be our front and one side is going to be our back. So I'm going to just play with this a little bit more to get them kind of in like agreement in terms of equal. All right, so you can see here now I've got a pretty equal tails, and what I can do now is I can go into my opposite hole here and pick the band roll out, and I'm going to pull it through, back through, so it's, so I have tails on both ends. So I'm literally going to pull it like this. So you can see now I have tails on both ends. I've got tails here and I've got tails here. I'm going to sew the ends of the band roll together so I don't lose my tails when I'm pulling my waistband up over my hip. And I'm just going to use my favorite stitch for that, the triple zigzag. All right, so you can see here now I've got that nice and secure. All right, here's my waistband now. So you can see I've got my two ends, right? And I've got one sewn shut and I've got a loop here, so there's no way I'm going to lose my tails. And then notice if I open this up, see how I can stretch it to fit over my hip, and then I can relax it when I get to my waist, and then I'll be able to tighten it down. Before I show you how to use this waistband, let's do the final step. The Velcro that I add to the waistband is really important, especially in the center back and the center front. Having Velcro at those two places allows me to basically Velcro the center back of the muslin to my waistband without having to reach around and pin, and the same thing in the front. I can't put a piece of Velcro around the whole bottom edge of this because it's going to stretch, and then obviously if I put the Velcro on there, that's not going to work. So we're just going to work with Velcro center front and center back for this waistband. And I'm going to use this 1/2 inch Velcro, and basically I'm going to just position it on either side of my seam, which represents my center back, and I'm putting the scratchy Velcro on my waistband because I'm going to use the soft side inside my muslin to attach to this. So I've got my 2 pieces of Velcro like this. I'm just going to use my Wonder Clips here to clip them on. I'm cutting my Velcro shorter than the width of my waistband because you don't want that to scratch you. So it's shorter. And then let me just do this side over here. I'm basically going to put them, I'm going to line up the front and back even with each other like this. All right, so I've got front and back, center front and back Velcro pinned on. And now I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew it on. So I'm just going to use my straight stitch to sew these pieces of Velcro on. I'm going to go around the whole outer edge of both pieces first, and then I'll get the middles. All right, so I've got my Velcro on there. Ideally, you might want them a little bit closer together. Let me do a better job on this side. Oops. This is not pretty sewing, but basically the goal is to make sure that's securely on there. All right, so let's see what we have now. What you can see what we have here now is 2 pieces of Velcro in our center front and back. The reason why there's 2 pieces is because if you're working on this side of your body, you want your seam between the Velcro and your seam allowance attached to the opposite side. So my seam allowance would be here if I'm working on this side, and it would be here if I was working on this side. Same thing for the center back. So now that's it. We're ready to use our waistband. So let me show you how to use it. I'm going to bring my ditto form over. And basically, I'm just going to stick this over her head, or I'm going to slide it on over the top because it's on a stand. But you would be stepping into it. It would be easier. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the waistband and you're going to put it on, you know, and pull it up over your hip. So let's pretend I've got this like this. So I'm pulling it up. And the first thing you want to do is position the center front and back at center front and back. So I'm going to just take my 2 pieces of Velcro and I'm going to stick that in place. And then I'm going to look in my 2 mirror system and make sure I've got my back in place as well. So you can see my back is also in the center. And then the beauty of this is now I can tighten this side of my band roll so it's secure and snug. And then I'm just going to lay it back on itself like this. And I'm going to use a safety pin to pin that down. I don't have a safety pin, so I'm just going to use a regular pin in this tutorial, but if you just use a safety pin, then you won't prick yourself. But basically, you put that like that, and then you come over to the other side, and you tighten that one down as well. I think I pulled, all right, so the one thing is you want to be careful that you're pulling them equally, keeping the center in the center. I pulled one a little bit too hard. Okay, so I've got this one pulled down. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pull this side down. All right, so now you can see I've got my waistband securely where I want my waistband of my pants to sit, and I'm ready to start working with my muslin. Okay, so this stretch, non-stretch waistband is going to work for people who have, I would guess, less than, maybe 6 inches at the most difference between your waist measurement and your full hip measurement. If your full hip measurement is more than 6 inches bigger than your waist, you might end up with too many gathers along the knit once you tighten down your band roll. So for people who have a really defined waist that's significantly smaller than your full hip, I think I would stick with the first waistband I came up with the Velcro closure. Remember, there's a link in the description below for that. I'm also going to put a link to the kit for this in the description below if you're interested in getting this waistband. And I'm putting a link to the Master Pants Fitting class with Threads Magazine. If you're joining me for that, remember, tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, there's a live Q&A. I'll be there with Sarah McFarlane from Threads Magazine, and we'll answer all your questions. It's a lot of fun. We've already had 2, and don't feel like you're missing out because the recordings of the lives are in the class as well, so you can hear all the questions and answers that were asked previously. I do think the pants class is on sale right now, so it's a good time to get it if you would like to join me there. Once you register for that class, you get it for an entire year. So it's sort of a work at your own pace class environment. There's a community tab where you can go in there and post questions and pictures, and I can help you within the class. I'm really proud of this class because we packed a ton of information in it. Not only is there complete fitting instructions from start to finish, but there are 3 different fit models that we worked with during the class, and you can see them from start to finish in their ready-to-wear, their fit muslin, and then their final pants or jeans. So it's a very in-depth class, and I'm excited about it. So if you'd like to join me there, please, click the link below for more information. Tomorrow during subscriber Q&A, I'm going to be showing you how to do a 5-thread stitch on your Baby Lock Ovation serger. I got this question last week, and I think I got it a while back ago as well. So I've been meaning to do a how to thread and sew with a 5-thread. So that's what I'll be doing during subscriber Q&A tomorrow. And then on Friday, during FabFit Friday, we're going to be working on a bias top with sleeves. So I hope to see you there as well. So I want to thank everybody for watching. If you're already in the Master Pants Fitting class, I'll see you tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the live Q&A. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you so much, and have a lovely rest of your day.